Hi, Aaron Fulk.
Hi, Scott Havens. How are you?
Doing great. Not as good as you because you just interacted with a lot of people. Where were you?
I went to the Women's Employment Network lunch. I actually sat on the luncheon committee this year. And so the
Woo.
luncheon was today. And so I went to it, and it was wonderful and great. Of course, you see everybody.
And you crushed it for helping. You landed lots of sponsors, brought lots of people. So it was a success, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was people that brought in way more people, but yes, that luncheon sells out every year. It's wonderful.
I feel like being on a board, you just want to do the bare minimum. Don't listen, young people, but you just get that $10,000 sponsor, show up and have fun and get on with your life.
I don't feel like that's good advice, to be honest with
No,
you,
it's
because
not. It's not good advice. I'm
girl
giving
that
you.
ends up doing all the stuff because no one else is. I feel like if you commit to something, you should fully commit. And you should understand. So I did do what I committed to. I
Yep.
haven't passed them
Amen.
before, but I'm in the middle of senior year right now, so I can't do as much as I would like to sometimes. But I did. I did pretty good.
Yeah, we have two guests that are coming on today. They get it. They're in similar stages of their career as we are. We got a lot of action going on. But if you commit to it, you do what you say you're going to do.
There's so much action. This last month, this next month, I'm just going to give you a heads up. I am just going to be like, just hug your little kiddos. Just hug your little kiddos. This last month, they don't give you even time. They don't even give you time to process what's going on because it's something, 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 something every single day for the next 4 weeks up until graduation. So, yeah, I feel like I'm going to show up to this and be like, which way's left, which way's right. So,
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where everyone's talk is the same of it goes by so fast, but it does. But two things I want to mention real quick that they always get it right and they always do what they say they're going to do is Bestway International. Just saw Bestway International. They were having their executive leadership team. They're doing EOS, entrepreneur operating,
nice.
and Evardy construction. Because you know what? If Evardy doesn't build it, you can't go in it. So
Right.
I was trying to make it rhyme there, but two sponsors that we adore that are friends, but they're also amazing organizations that a lot of our viewers do business with.
Yeah, we have the best sponsors, honestly. So Brian Hardy, so transparently, I'm helping with the social media for Casey Can, the board that we both sit on. And Brian Hardy also sits on the board. And the other day we did like a board spotlight on social media for him. And it was just crazy the amount of comments that I got to see on there where people just said what a great guy he was. And then I went to the Children's Place gala a couple weeks ago, and I hadn't talked to my clients telling them I was going to this gala because there'd be no point in me talking to my clients. And so I ran in because Bestway, we also work with them on marketing, and I ran into the whole Bestway team was there, and they were there supporting and giving back. So we worked with some pretty, and of course Chris, he does some amazing stuff too, also Evardy. So we work with the best sponsors. We're really lucky.
When everyone knows, like they're like, oh, you're friends with so and so, and they apologize because they're so cool and fun to hang out with. They're awesome. Like, oh, you have to work with so and so. Oh, aren't they horrible? So when people make fun of them, you know that they're amazing.
They're great. Okay, enough about us.
Let's roll.
Let's bring in our people. First of all, my best friend is on the show today. We've been friends for a very long time, so I'm very excited.
That's right. He's here.
The one, the only, you will, once you know him, you'll never forget him. Ben! And I've yet to be, because he was very busy getting ready for the show, but here he is. I'm excited to learn all about him. Thank you. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey.
Great.
We're so excited to get started. All right, let's just get going. Ben, bestie Ben, who are you? What do you do? How do you get to Kansas City?
Thank you. Ben Johnson, Senior VP at Aon. What do I do? It's a lot of different things, but sum it all up, insurance sales, work with organizations, help mitigate risk, work on employee benefits with them. How I got to Kansas City, military kid here. So moved around a lot, but from Buffalo, New York, before here, I used to work at ADP, took a job like a lot of people have in the past for the money and did not like it. I wanted to come back to ADP. Luckily, there was a position open here in Kansas City, and I've been here ever since. Moved from ADP into insurance sales about 7 years ago.
Now, Ben, what is something you do today that makes you the most excited for your clients?
I'm big into data. So bringing the data to our clients, their data, international data, really being able to deliver that to them is key, especially in the benefit community. They don't know what their employees are going through. They don't know how to help. So getting that data to them and being able to help them understand what we can do better for those employees and make their benefits work.
And then you helped start a peer group that's been going on for 12 years, and it's really flourished. And you also helped pioneer the fundraiser. Also, maybe where you could have interacted with Aaron before. Tell us a little bit about the group you started.
Top Gun. I don't know if you know about that, Scott, at all, but it's a great peer group. It really is. I was lucky enough to get the call from Scott saying, "Hey, I got this really good idea. Let's go talk about it." Like a lot of his ideas are, right? Let's go talk about it. Let's discuss these things. And we did. We discussed it and brought it in. Started around 15, 20 people of friends in the basement of an old country club here locally. And it's really taken off. It's been great and helping the community in many different ways.
I feel like you always start peer groups with people named Ben. Scott.
You know what? It could be, Ben Anderson Siba is there. Lots of folks, but then Ben Johnson. Also, when you planned the charity fundraiser, what was the fundraiser, and then what happened during the planning process?
Yeah, we did a golf tournament, and it was fun. Every year we try to raise more and more money each year. And Scott kind of said, "Hey, man, I could see you're getting drowning here. Let me get you some help." And lucky enough, he invited my wife now to be part of our committee, and we met. And ever since then, we've been together.
That's good. Scott, why don't you ever do that for me? Just kidding.
Oh man, because you got a senior graduate, but I'm doing it now. But it was just it was a fun thing. When I asked him what was going on, and he was planning it at 9:00 the next day, I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're really on top of it."
I like that. Listen, earlier we forgot to ask people where are you watching us at LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. Paul comes in every week. He forgot his joke. He said, "Watching on. When are you having me back on the show?" He forgot to tell us where he's watching, but Paul's here. He's nobody. You know what? I think Paul may be my most loyal relationship in my entire life. Yeah.
I was texting him last week about that, and he was like, he wants to come and host the show. I think we should have him do it next week. But let's keep moving.
Nobody communicates better than Paul. Okay, JQ.
Yeah.
Who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Who am I? I am JQ Sirls. I am founder and CEO of Storytailor Inc. And I'm from Kansas City, born and raised here. I went to Rockhurst University, had fun there. Then I went to Los Angeles from 2012 to 2021, where I was really dived into the entertainment industry and the music industry, to which I honed a lot of my skills, worked at ABC Mouse for some time, worked at a couple of film studios for a little while. And then after my son was born, my wife and I decided to come to Kansas City to be with family. And then Storytailor started while I was here.
Wait, was your wife from Kansas City, or was
my wife is from New York? She owns a company called Someday Sunday, by the way. Little quick shout out to those who know about her skincare line.
I was wondering how you got her to come from LA. So you're closer to home.
Family.
Go ahead, Scott.
Vicky, can you tell us more about your company? I mean, it's an amazing story.
Yes. So Storytailor, I actually give you a little bit of background. I've actually been working in the children's book industry since I was 7 years old. I was mentored by award-winning authors and illustrators and mentored at Hallmark as a child. I was considered the child prodigy as far as art. But from there, I really wanted to understand how to get kids into stories themselves. One thing I always felt frustrated about myself being African-American was that all stories about imagination always seemed limited. Like it was like everyone else, but then it was when it was stories about people who look like me, they were either about the civil rights. There was always something serious. So I started to be more sensitive to other groups. Like, for example, if you put two blonde hair, blue eye, white girls in a room, you assume they like Barbie when they might like Batman and being the secret agent. So over time, I've spent a long time trying to figure out the industry. That's what brought me to LA. Came back, created Storytailor. Storytailor helps anyone, anywhere, in any language create a personalized story for their child in under 90 seconds. That means you can be autistic, you can be a limb difference, you can have diabetes, but we'll put you into a story where you are a superhero, you fighting the dragon, or like my son, you are a kung fu toy. No, Mr. Poop and Mr. P battle a kung fu toilet. That was his story the other night. So it can be anything you want, and we can include math, science, reading. We can include language, learning a new language. We can include mental health. We're with the Children's Place, actually. That's where we were there, actually, with the robot dogs. And then we're with Children's Mercy right now and a couple other hospitals.
Okay, so when you say you put them into a story, because I've never met you, expand on that. What kind of story?
Like any story you want to. So it's online, storytailor.com. You will go in and you can either make a character that looks like them, or you can be like what my son wants to be, probably like a dragon with weird spots on his skin. But we can make it whimsical and silly, but we can always include something personal that's touching. So that means if he had a bad day at school, we can still put Mr. Poop, Mr. P battle a toilet, but we can put in confidence issues, and the story will still come out about confidence issues, even though it's the topic he wanted.
And then you make it into a film, it looks like.
We make it into we make it into a story with the with art, with text, and with off-screen activities to enjoy, to shut the computer off and then go play with your kid. So we're all about bonding more so than we want people to be online. As a matter of fact, we don't even judge our traction by how long you're online, but how much you've made a story and then went offline to actually go play with your kid using the story.
Oh, I got it. Okay, cool. It said watch the video. So the video about what you guys do.
Yes.
I did that wrong. I looked at that wrong. Awesome. Look, we got quite a few people here real quick. We've got Laura Ann. She's watching on LinkedIn. Excited to see the show.
Lauren.
Janae's watching on LinkedIn. Hello, Janae. And Lacey says, great stuff, y'all. She loves Storytailor. What social platform? I think she's talking to you.
Oh, as far as where are we at on Storytailor?
Yeah, it looks like they're everywhere.
In general, I mean, we own the copyright for Storytailor now, so we got cease and desist everybody who else is Storytailor. But no, we're on Instagram, Storytailor Inc., LinkedIn, Storytailor Inc., Facebook, Storytailor Inc., and we're protesting X. So we're there, but we're not there.
We're not there either.
Yeah.
Got it. Awesome. All right, Sky, you ready for your question?
I got one responsibility. Ben, what was the most pivotal point in your career?
Yeah, I would say really joining Aon. I know it's kind of, weird to say that, but really joining Aon has been great, because everything that I've worked so hard to do, I've had to do on my own. When it comes to data, when it comes to gathering information, when it comes to looking out and getting the information, pulling it together, giving it and presenting it to my clients or prospects, Aon has already done it, right? They have other clients that are doing it or prospects that are doing it, and we're getting a lot of that information, the insights, in order to develop futuristic capabilities of what your health insurance is going to look like in the next 2 to 3 years, right? Putting it in analyzers to make sure that your risk is mitigated. Everything is covered for your organization so that you can really focus on what you're supposed to focus on is your business, right? Keep doing your business. Let us worry about everything else. So that's probably been the biggest pivot for me, not having to get a lot of that weight on me to do it, but know I have a really good team here to do it with me.
So JQ and Aaron probably feel your pain of always having to do it on their own and kind of putting the weight on their back and kind of carrying it over. When did you notice when did you believe there was really a change and you had people rowing the boat with you?
Oh, I would probably say my first client. I joined Aon probably about 2 or 3 months in. I got a client and I was so used to doing everything. And my team's like, hey, Ben, don't worry about it. We take care of that. We take care of this. We take care of that. We've already got this. They've pulled up a lot of the information that I'm going out there to go get, but we already have it available, right? We've already put it in predictive analysis to see what it looks like. What's the trend? What's the difference between this organization and that organization? And that was like oh, wow, moment for me to realize that I was doing this for so long without that help, and realizing that there is help out there at the right organization. That's where it's key.
Have you learned new skills about delegating now that you don't have to do it on your own?
Yes. And Scott, that's funny. As you know, I don't like to delegate a whole lot. I like to just do it. Probably because, if you know how to do it, just do it. But delegating is something you need to learn, right? And I've been humbled enough to learn to do it. You really do. No matter where you're at in life, you got to be able to delegate. Because if not, like you said, you're going to be drowning in water. There's a lot on your back, a lot of stress. But when you delegate things, the outcome's usually a positive manner.
I struggle with that so bad. I feel like if I do it, then it doesn't get missed.
Yeah, exactly.
I can only blame myself. I'm so bad at it, so I get it.
I'm curious. Yeah, I want to ask JQ a similar question, because I feel like you all do a lot on your own. But JQ, in general, though, what was the most pivotal point in your career?
That's actually a two-sided question. So you want the company's big moment or my big moment? Because both are heavy.
Both.
All right. The first one was, I told you, I've been focusing on children's books and trying to do children's storytelling my entire life. When I got to LA, I left to LA. I worked at, I'm not gonna say the name of the company. I worked at a company here, and I had an iPad, and I had a Lamborghini on the front, and I was saying, man, I really want to own this one day. And my boss looked at me and said, they laughed, actually, him and others, they laughed. And they said, yeah, we thought the same thing too. And then reality hit. I put my 2 weeks in the next day with $800, drove to Los Angeles. And that was me being in Los Angeles. That's not the pivotal moment. I went down there thinking I was going to do a lot of cool stuff. I was going to make everyone proud. Within 10 months, I was homeless on a bench. I lived on a bench for like a week. So it was from a deal that went left. I didn't know how LA worked. So I just took everybody on their word. Shouldn't have done that. And so during that time, I ended up on a bench, ended up with some friends, and I ended up couch hopping for about a year. And from there, I just turned my life around. Everything went full 360. And then I still stayed on the same path. I still stayed true to it. But if it wasn't for that moment, I wouldn't have got my MBA, and I wouldn't have learned a lot of very pivotal things about business, because I just kind of was like, oh, I'm a creative, I'll figure it out. But when that deal happened or didn't happen, I now have an MBA. I understand how business works. I understand all the ins and outs. So had I not fallen, I wouldn't have the grit that I have now to fall all the time. So the worst thing that could ever think happened to me happened. So now I don't fear anything. So that's the big personal one. I fear nothing. The second one is with Storytailor. When we first launched Storytailor, it was called Page Master. Matter of fact, I got Digital Sandbox. And what I was trying to do was, in my mind, I was wanting to help kids if I help authors get published. That was my thing. So like, why don't I find all the authors, since I know the publishing industry like the back of my hand? I know how it works to the cellular level. So I was like, well, what if I just help all these authors who have these great visions pitch better? Because with VCs or with startups, we pitch with a pitch deck, but authors, they do it in an email. I ended up learning that they don't care. That those authors, all they care about are the not the royalties, the advance. That's all they care about. So they don't mind putting out mess. So I was like, okay, back to the drawing board, because I really want to help kids. And I realized, who's the best author for kids? Their parents. And so Storytailor came to change from Page Master to Storytailor. And I focus all my attention now, as far as the company is on grandparents, parents, teachers, and child life specialists at hospitals.
I love that. I have a really quick question. We've got 7 seconds. But when you did that, because you had done the grant and stuff, right, with Digital Sandbox, what was that conversation like? Were the mentors involved? And was that something where you had to tell, like, I feel like sometimes when you switch businesses, people go, no, you just haven't done it long enough. Were people on board, or did you have to, again, like, advocate for yourself?
I just did it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't wait for it. I mean, no one really disagreed with me, because everyone knows I know the industry way more than they think they do. You know what I mean? So no one fought me, but also, I've learned very quickly that, like, ask for forgiveness, not permission.
I kind of function like that, but we're not the norm. That's why I was asking. All right, Ben. How are your 2025 goals going, and how can the Kansas City community help you?
This year's been great. It's really been great. I'd say there's kind of two goals, personal goals, right out there. Really kind of ties back to my kids. I really want to get them really ingrained of what Kansas City is and try to do more in Kansas City. Not just sightseeing, things like that, but actually understand what Kansas City is about. Taking them around, show them a little bit more of the ins and outs of what Kansas City is. When I moved here, I got to do it and loved it. And I'd love for them to be part of that as well. And then on a business level, really, just working with organizations is a passion of mine, and really developing ways to help them succeed in many different ways. Being able to just sit down and talk to, CFOs and HRs about their organization, that's what I do. So as many times as I can do that, love to learn more, right? We can only grow if we learn. So if we're able to actually sit down with people, and even if they're not making decisions, I want to know what they're doing, right? That's how I can tell other people what others are doing too, right? Because if we have no data to show what others are doing, then we don't know how to make an impact. So that's really what I'm looking forward to this year.
So you work with people throughout North America. Do you find yourself like always wanting to be more local? Is that the feeling?
A little bit, yeah, just because I really love Kansas City, right? I'm trying to make Kansas City better. And if businesses are thriving here, that means, they have employees, makes everyone's going to be happy. If no one likes to go to a town with no businesses, right? Being able to actually work in the area you're at. But yes, you're right. I do work across the U.S. I have some clients in other states, but Kansas City's, somewhere I'd like to focus a lot of my time.
Well, you work with huge companies, and when you're not going through a snowstorm in Alaska, driving a rental car, what are some things you like to do personally outside of work? You can't say family either. We're talking hobbies.
Yeah, hobbies. Hiking. I love hiking, going up in the woods, just camping, dispersed camping, trying to find a spot just to lay down a tent or just lay down. But tent, camping, outdoorsy for sure, handyman, like woodworking. I got my own lathe. I do make cups, bowls, things like that. So.
Telling you, he's just an all-American man and a great soccer coach.
An all-American man you are, Ben Johnson.
Yes, we got the name.
I love it. All right, look. Abraham says, "What's up, y'all? Love Storytailor and the team. They're helping families communicate effectively and build strong bonds." So
Abraham
said, how are your 2025 goals going, and how can the Kansas City community help you?
That's for me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Goals of Kansas City. We got our office, so that's what this is. So that's really cool. Right now, we are looking to be a part of organizations in a couple of different ways, and that's where the community can help. The first one is, we're doing pretty good with being with the Children's Place and Children's Mercy, but we would love to be with more organizations that are helping children in big, bold ways, not only schools, but even daycares and other places where there might be play therapy, things like that. But we're also all looking into, and whoever's listening to this, please, to be a part of employee benefits packages, because there's a lot of situations where they don't have anything for the kids or any way to bond with the kids, and that can actually help. So we want to help and be a part of those. So if any inroads and to get to that, we'd love that. But the largest thing is everyone log into storytailor.com. There it is right there. Log in, create an account, make one with your kids. The biggest blessing for me is to know that you had a really fun night or a fun day with your kids because you made some stories. That'll best help us, will actually help you promote us to others because you have a context of where we're coming from. That's the big ask. And the goals this year are just to grow. We're going to be at Invest Midwest next month. And yeah, just plan on growing. We got a big release coming, but that's on Mum, but you'll know on LinkedIn when you see it.
Why don't you come on here and also talk about it?
Talk about what?
Whatever the mum is.
When it comes, I don't know the release. We're still
Aaron
talking about
likes
the
people
release.
breaking
There's a
news
big
on the
release
show.
coming, so just log into Storytailor.
So it sounds like, so Scott always likes to say he likes to really narrow down who are the best people to introduce you to. So
Yes.
it sounds like people in the benefit space. And then what would you say the second person to?
The benefit space very specifically, and then anyone with personal inroads into like the daycare schools. So anyone that works with children or works with people who work with children between the ages of 3 and 8 years old.
Okay. So all you people that know daycare and teachers and all the things I don't know.
Ben and I know there's a group called CBiz on the Plaza that does a lot of work in higher education. So they're great folks to connect with. JQ, one of the questions I have is everyone's trying to give advice. And you have to, and like you're probably sick and tired of people giving advice. Yes. So how do you decipher information when people come in and they're trying to give you, say how you grow your company? How do you decide who to listen to and who not to listen to?
I have one big thing. We are all about nuance. So I really don't listen to anyone who hasn't been a storyteller and made a story because it's free to do. So if you really care and you really want to give me advice, you would have gone to the platform. Full stop. The second thing is if they're not absolutists, like basically, are you asking me questions and then from those questions and from those answers, you have feedback, or are you just a know-it-all because you have a lot of money and you have context that you just know how business runs? So I listen to that context. Like, hey, tell me more. What are your biggest problems? And then I tell you, you go, but what if you did this? Now I know I'm talking with someone who's listening to me versus someone who's shrinking me, you know what I mean, because of where they think I am versus where I really am.
Duncan Wardell, who was the head of creative at Disney for 25 years. We've spoken at a few things together, and I love hearing him speak. And he says one of the best practices you can do for yourself and with your team is if every time someone gives an idea, instead of saying, like you say, and this, and instead of ever stopping the idea, if you add on to the idea, then eventually you get to really good ideas. So
Duncan's actually one of my mentors. Yeah, he's cool.
Don't you love him?
Yeah.
Oh, he's the best. Have you done that exercise with him?
I haven't done that with him. When I first met him, it was in Alberta with Pipeline. I was a Pipeline member now, actually, but I was with them, and then we just I'd tell him some ideas of what I'm working on, and because he was Disney innovator, so he just kind of shoot back ideas.
Scott, you know how I have the therapist?
I've heard him speak, by the way.
He's so good, right? Yeah. You know that how I have the therapist that only sees entrepreneurs? I found her through Pipeline, Monica. So shout out to Monica. Get yourself a therapist that only sees entrepreneurs. If you're an entrepreneur, it's the best thing ever. All right, guys. One last comment right here. We've got Jessica. Let's connect you with Aligned. Tori was a guest in the show and does education policy reform, incredibly connected to your market, JQ. Jessica's our favorite. She knows everybody who knows everybody.
He's amazing.
With that said, thank you so much, Ben Johnson and JQ, for coming on today. We really, truly appreciate it. Thank you so much, Scott, for being a great co-host. Thank you so much to Bestway International and Evardy Construction for sponsoring this so we can do this every week. Make sure you go connect with everybody on the show and everyone in the comments. We will see you same time, same place next week. Bye, guys. Go enjoy the weather.
Thank you.